Can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, broad and bright stars through the perilous fight. Oh, the red hearts we won were so gallantly streaming. Get the rockets ready, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, Satan's that star-spangled banner wave for the land under the frame and the home of the brave. Yes, we are the brave. We'll fight you in name, the name of the brave. We are the US of A. For those unaware, that flag is still there. It's our future to save. Stand of the brave, the US of A. Oh, Satan's that star-spangled banner gave wave for the land of the free, in the I am the unknown soldier. Some call me MIA. Some say I can't go home again. Some say I chose to stay. I am the unknown soldier who you refuse to know, a brother and a friend of yours who left so long ago. Some call me POW, the one they left behind. I am the unknown soldier, the one they never tried to find. I'm the one they never tried to find. I'm a farmer from Missouri, the soldier from St. Paul. I was the hero of my family, and still my picture's upon their wall. I'm a poet and a scholar, and the boy who lived next door. I am the unknown soldier, forgotten on a foreign shore, long forgotten on a foreign shore. I was someone's loving daddy, I was someone's pride and joy, I was someone's tender lover, a worried mama's little boy. And if you should just forget me here, then should I forget you too? Please won't you try to bring me home? For I'm someone who belongs to you, I'm still someone who belongs to you. I am the unknown soldier with no more tears to shed. I'm just a fading memory, a part of the living dead. My country has betrayed me, yet I have forgiven you. And every night I pray to God that somehow he'll forgive you too. Yes, even somehow he'll forgive you too. I am the unknown soldier, the one for whom you cried. That familiar face that you can't face, the one your country told you died. I am the unknown soldier with dreams you'll rescue me, and I am a man who understands. Only death might ever set me free, only death might ever set me free. I am the unknown soldier, and I'm black and blue and gray. I said I am the unknown soldier, and I die slowly every day. And I'm tired, and I'm hungry, and I'm lonely, and I'm cold. I am the unknown soldier, the one you bought and sold. I'm the one you bought and sold. So lay down close beside me now and gently stroke my face and wrap your arms around me now before we leave this place. Some called me POW, some called me MIA. Some say I can't come home again, but I will return someday.
He was going to come up tonight, but he stepped off the ladder wrong and sprained his ankle. The guy can't win for losing.
That's not. You sure you guys aren't related?
I don't know, but I'm looking here at what you said. You were wishing you were rich instead of so damn handsome, and I got to tell you, I'm so damn ugly. I'm still not rich.
Yeah, no kidding. But you have me in your life, so you're rich with love.
Yeah.
Are we on the air?
Yeah.
Oh God.
At least I am. I plugged mine in. I
turned it on.
Yeah. Okay. Well, then we're not making any noise. Hey, how about that? So anyway, guys, I was at a gun show this weekend at Cherry Tree Township. I called on Wednesday to find out what time I could get in there on Friday to set up, and they told me, well, good news for you. We're having our chicken barbecue and cruise in at the same time as your gun show. Just a second. I got to hick them up. And we've been talking about doing that a couple of different times, and with us having to bump our schedule around, and then things came up that they had to bump their schedule around, they finally did it. And of course, if they'd have let me know when I was placing the advertisement in the newspapers for the gun show, I would have dropped that hint for people that they were having the chicken barbecue and that. Too nice a day. And both yesterday and today, it was too nice a day. I did make a couple dollars, but then I spent some dollars, so I didn't make any headway. Although I only owe 1/3 of my property tax for this year, or 1/3 of this fall's property tax, which amounts to $564. So I've got I got 5 shows coming up before that $500 is due. So I'll be able to knock that off here in the next couple of weeks, because I do have a customer coming to pick up a batch of stuff. So we'll be taken care of as far as the property tax for this year for the first time in I don't know how many years. And so, but I will tell you, there was a couple of people that come through there. There was an Amishman that came in with a couple of his boys, and they walked out with 6 guns. Yeah, about 6 guns.
Jesus, what kind?
A couple shotguns and a couple hunting rifles.
I can't imagine them getting into the sporting rifles so much, like the ARs and whatnot.
No, they
Not
don't
practical
do that.
enough for them.
Yeah, they don't.
I'm sure they have them just because,
You never know. Yeah.
they're just rednecks in funny hats.
Yeah, it's property tax. I'm going to tell you something, guys. Since Uncle Bob brought this up, property tax is nothing more than rent that you are paying to live on your piece of property, and or on their piece of property, not your piece of property. And if you get this book that I was just telling Scotty, I got given to me yesterday, and I was reading it in the slow periods last night and today at the gun show. It's called The Second Amendment, Under Attack from Both Ends. And it's just come out this year, and it was put out by the JBSers. So it tells you in plain, understandable English everything that is being done in this country in regards to turning us into a communist state. It spells out those 10 planks of the Communist Manifesto and gives a lot of background history on each one of them. And I found that as I was reading it, the more I read it, the more I found that what I've been talking about for the last 30 years is all in that book. Makes me wish I had written it. But anyway, just so you guys know, you can order it online, so I would get on there and see if you can find it. I don't know how much it would cost, but a guy gave me a brand new copy, so I don't imagine it would cost too much. But
What's it called?
The Second Amendment, Under Attack from Both Ends, or from both ends, I believe. From in and out, inside and outside. I won't say I'm getting ahead of the game there, Jack. I'm just trying to bust my balls to keep the roof over my head, so that when the people fall, I have an excuse to do what has to be done. So, yeah, Uncle Bob, I know you've been telling everybody that. I've been telling everybody that for I don't know how long, 3 decades or 4 decades. Even when I was going to the school board and raising hell about them raising taxes, they didn't like to see me coming.
It's because you usually smelled real bad.
I didn't have time to take a shower and having to work so much.
Oh.
To pay the damn taxes to keep the damn school teachers from starving to death, so that they could corrupt their kids and bring communism into the everyday life.
I just can't fathom what's going on out there in education now.
I had 2 young kids come in today. They're 19, and I was telling them about the book. And the one kid took a picture of the book so he could get the titles. He was interested in it because when I was telling him about some of this stuff, I said, I bet you they don't even hardly tell you or mention any of this stuff about the history of your Declaration of Independence or your Constitution of the United States. And he says, not hardly, not anymore.
They don't teach any kind of civics class.
That's because they don't have me there.
And God forbid if you mention the Second Amendment, you have to use the G word in class.
Yeah. But I just saw, before I came down here, I just saw a story on the internet where some college kids were signing a petition to abolish the Constitution of the United States. They feel that it is outdated and needs to be replaced with a more progressive document. In other words, they want to put the Communist Manifesto in place of the Constitution of the United States. This is how we're losing it, because the people have ignored what is being taught to our kids in all these years in school. Parents have not paid attention. Now, lately there has been a lot of teachers or parents going out there and going after the school boards because they're trying to put the critical race theory or woke program through, or whatever you want to call these communist backdoor ideas, because that's exactly what they are. And people haven't paid enough attention to your kids and what they're being taught. So if you are a parent out there and you are listening, you need to go to the school board and tell them, hey, if you're going to try and teach this, you better go pound salt up your ass, because you're not going to do it. Well, my school never allowed civics class to be or was not a college credit in college prep in high school, but we did have civics class. We had it we had it every year, and we had it every day. And first it was history, and then it went into civic class. So, but that stuff is very few school systems are still teaching that stuff today, and so we have to counteract all this garbage. If we want to save our country, we have to go back and get the minds of our kids back. We have to sit down, or I don't have to do that with my kids because they've grown up, and they know my feelings and they know what's going on. But those of you out there that still have kids, you need to sit down and make sure they have a understanding of what the Declaration of Independence was all about, and what the Constitution of the United States is all about, and what the Articles of Confederation were all about. Because they don't want our kids to know this. So, anyway, that's my rant and rave. You got any rant and rave or pee?
Not really.
And that?
I'm just so tired.
Me three.
Very tired.
I was over at the fire hall got over at the fire hall Friday, and I was there till about 6, got home at 7, got up. Mother was supposed to set the alarm clock for 5:30, and it ended up being 4:30. Plus, the clock was a half hour fast.
Oh, so you're up at 4 o'clock.
So I was up at 4 o'clock on on Saturday morning. So we took things high canvas. So we took care of things Saturday morning, went to the gun show, got home Saturday night about 7 o'clock after Randall got there to give to be the security. And then Mom went in and she reset the alarm clock, and it still ended up waking us up at 5 o'clock instead of 5:30. So again, we're up at 5 o'clock this morning, and I'm kind of running on batteries. And they're low. So if I should happen to fall off my chair, you know why. Did you bring the jumping cables so you can charge me up again?
I'm going to put my butthole on your face. That'll keep you up.
Something was said about Biden being blind at the gun show today. And
among other things.
Among other things. I said, Biden is so damn blind he couldn't find his fingers if they were shoved up his ass in broad daylight.
That's about it.
There's one guy, he started laughing. Of course, he gave me the chuckles. Gave me the thumbs up, not chuckles.
You know, our former president, Mr. Trump, and I've spoken on this before, he was by no means perfect.
Oh, no.
He was a bloviating asshole, but he was ours, and he stuck up for...
Well, he stuck up for America.
For America.
Yeah.
But every time he would sneeze sideways, there was somebody in the press or on the liberal left screaming about the 25th Amendment and how he's not fit for office and he needs to be removed because he's not fit.
Diminished capacity.
Mentally and physically. Well, that one time he was walking down that ramp after a commencement speech or something, and it was raining and he slipped, but all of a sudden, that was the news for the next 3 days.
Yeah.
Where are these people now that our president...
Because they're the ones that are in power now.
You know, what's good for the goose is good for the gander, man.
Yeah, I know.
I
know. Just like people were saying, people were coming through the show and they were saying, well, I believe everybody should get the shot, but it'd be on their desires to, not forced upon them. I said, well, let me explain something to you. If you are vaccinated, what difference does it make if I don't get vaccinated? Because supposedly when you've been vaccinated, you're not supposed to be able to get the virus from the next person.
Very obviously, it doesn't work that way.
So I says that means it doesn't work. Okay. Now I says, what's in that vaccine that they want everybody to go get? Is it a first step for something else to kill more of us off later on? Okay.
Yeah. There's a lot of controversy at my job regarding this because I'm working in healthcare. All the talk about vaccine mandate. And I'm kind of staying out of it. I decided to get the shot more as a science experiment than anything else because I didn't necessarily believe it was going to work. I didn't think it was not going to work. I just figured, get it, see what happens. I thought maybe I'd get like an extra testicle or something, or an arm growing out of my butt. Nothing.
Maybe your banana would grow 1.5 feet longer.
Something.
Yeah.
Something.
Yeah.
Give me something to do at night.
Yeah.
But
or get a great big zit between on your forehead between your eyes, so we could call you Cyclops or Triclops.
Call me something. But there's a lot of people that are staunchly against being told what to do, and there's a lot of in my field, there's a lot of young gals, young females, nurses aides, and whatnot. And there's there's all kinds of talk about it causing reproductive problems, and no one's really addressing that because everyone's afraid to talk about it.
They're dismissing it. The officials are dismissing it. Oh, that's just a bunch of hogwash and rumors. That's not really true. Okay, the official word out of the CDC is that that's hogwash. It's not true. So you heard it here first.
But when there's people are talking about quitting, and as it stands right now, they're having the administrative people are having trouble staffing to the legal levels, because we have to have a certain number of staff.
Yeah, you have to have a certain number for
It's called
population.
It's called PPD number.
Yeah.
And you have to have a certain number of nursing staff for the amount of residents. And it's hairy right now because people are calling off. People are getting scared. These young gals, they have kids in school. Well, all of a sudden, their kids aren't in school because of these shutdowns.
Yeah. So anyway, when this came up, I said, women are allowed to have an abortion because it's their body. Okay. Supposedly it's their body, so they can do what they want. Well, if that is the case, if it's good for them, then it's okay for me to tell you to take the shot and stick it. Stick it up your own ass, not mine. Well, I see they don't do that. They stick it in your arm. But anyway, the point is, if women can have abortions because it's their body and it's their decision, I can refuse to have the vaccine because it's my body and I don't want the crap put in it. And plus the fact that when they first come out, seniors with one or two or more underlying problems were not supposed to take it because their system was too weakened. And a side note here, yeah, Emmy, there was a guy that came through the gun show that was going to go to the machine gun shoot down at Fort Knox, Kentucky, this coming October, because it looks like it's going to be the last one because the guy that runs it can't get help. You can't hire anybody to work. You can't find anybody.
Well, who could afford to shoot down there? Well, yeah, I guess if you can afford to own a minigun, you can probably afford to shoot it. But
well, that's it. I've seen that many. The guy had one on a mule. Had 4 of them on a mule.
What, a mule?
Yeah.
It's a mule, like an actual donkey.
No, the Vietnam era flat vehicle.
Oh.
No sides on it. I imagine you could have it. They used it to haul cargo with. Okay.
Army truck. Just say army truck. That's fine.
Well, it was a small one.
Small army truck. Got it.
Small army truck.
I thought maybe some guy had made some kind of mount for an actual mule. I don't know.
Yeah. No, but they called that vehicle a mule because it did the work of a mule. And he had 4 miniguns mounted on it. And I happened to be down the night that he did that. Shot it at night. And he shot nothing but tracers through it. And it just looked like 4 streams of fire going out there.
Good God.
Okay. I forget how many rounds a minute that the damn thing went through, but it just didn't last very long. But
it was still pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, it was. And I wished I could have had a movie camera and got that on film. But
well, I remember somebody did, and they used that footage as some kind of firefight it was over in Iraq or Afghanistan, saying how bad it's getting. And everyone's like, no, that's in Kentucky, you jackass.
Yeah. So, anyway, the information is circulating that Knob Creek, this last one will be the last, or the next one will be the last one, which is too bad because I've been down there a couple of times and I would have liked to have gone again. Although I do, yes, sir, I have some pictures from when I was down there. But the most impressive thing is the president of that, those miniguns on that mule were the guy that had the deuce and a half. Nope, sorry, take that back. Had a quad 50 anti-aircraft mount sit up on the ground. And it was bad as that minigun was, that quad 50, when all 4 guns were rolling, that was something. It rounded out everybody.
What, the minigun's what, 30 caliber?
No, minigun's a 223.
Oh.
Okay. You're thinking of the next step up one.
What was that one that was mounted in the B-52 Puff the Magic Dragon?
Yeah,
that was
a 308 caliber.
That was 308?
Yeah.
I remember reading
1 bullet every square foot.
I remember reading an article where as they were shooting, there were guys like underneath with shovels just shoveling the brass out the bottom of the That's adding insult to injury. As you're flying over, you're throwing all this hot lead at them, then all of a sudden you get rained down on with the brass that came out of it.
Oh, depending on where you're going in the Allegheny National Forest there, Jack, you may not be too far from me, because part of the property of where I'm at borders up against part of the boundary of the National Forest. Of course, that's a pretty big place, so I don't know exactly where you're going, but we have gotten our addition to our undisclosed location all battened up. It's all closed in, and my son was supposed to be painting it today. So when I get off of here, I may try and call him and find out if he got it done. But there goes the hiccups again. Okay. Did you see where that general
Miley?
Yeah, Miley is catching all kinds of flack.
Lots of hot water, as
Yeah.
he should be.
He should be, yes. If you call, it's okay to call your adversary and talk to him. Okay, this was after the January 6th. He had no business, because there was no threat made to go against China, just because he claims that Trump made statements about starting a war to be able to create a state of emergency, which is a bunch of shit.
Well, he was even making phone calls before the election, shortly before, like at the end of September.
Yeah, just tell him I'll call you if we're going to attack you. I'll call you. I'll call you and let you know we're going to attack you.
I understand diplomacy, and it's not always pretty.
That's not diplomacy.
But when you start doing that, that's really above the pale. I have an article here that you printed out. It's from Newsmax. Cheney to carefully evaluate facts about Milley's actions around January 6th. Representative Benny G. Thompson, Democrat from Mississippi, the chair of the Select Commission investigating the January 6th Capitol attack, and the commission's vice chair, Representative Liz Cheney, Republican from Wyoming, on Thursday announced that they will carefully evaluate events at the Pentagon both before and after the riot. In a statement released on Thursday, Thompson and Cheney also addressed the recent report that Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Mark Milley, called his Chinese counterpart twice in the aftermath of the attempted insurrection and organized a meeting to discuss procedures for military action. The facts surrounding steps taken at the Pentagon to protect our security both before and after January 6 are a crucial area of focus for the Select Committee, they said in a statement. Indeed, the Select Committee has sought records specifically related to these matters, and we expect the Department of Defense to cooperate fully with our probe. Looking ahead, we will carefully evaluate all the facts based on first-hand testimony, contemporaneous documents, and other relevant materials. So, I guess all this came out because there was a new book that came out called Peril by Washington Post reporter Robert Costa and journalist Bob Woodward.
Those two have been known to be
a little fast and loose with the truth.
Yeah. The last thing you do is you give your enemy anything that's going to compromise your troops. That was the biggest problem with when we were fighting the Korean War, was because the commanding military general of the UN came from the communist bloc up until, it's all in this book too, came from Russia up until the 95, I think it was, when the so-called Soviet Union collapsed, was always a Russian general. And before any of the UN commanders, battlefield commanders, could do anything in the line of an attack, they had to notify the Russian general that they were going to do that. So what happened? He, being a commie, being a good boy, he sent the information to his hierarchies in Moscow at the Kremlin, and then they sent that information over to Peking, in China, who then notified the North Koreans while they were, by then the Chinese were running the war for the Koreans anyway. But um, that's why they ran into so many confounded stalemates, because the enemy knew they were coming, and that's why when MacArthur actually showed some initiative and attacked, launched the invasion at Incheon. It was not, yeah, Incheon. It was successful because he did not he did not follow the protocols and get a hold of the UN and tell them shit. He just did it, and so they were able to capture or launch that as a total surprise. Didn't take them long after it happened for the Chinese to rally, uh, but so and that you can't. I've said this before. The UN is a front organization for the New World Order, and the New World Order is a communist system that they want to impose. And they are digging at the United States from all angles internally, and one of the biggest is the Chinese. They're more of a problem to us than any of the others right now. They are the ones that are going after us internally, and that. So once they default our money, they can claim force us into bankruptcy. Of course, if the Bidens and the rest of the Fed continue to pump money out that's not backed by anything, it's not far away. Okay. Yeah, back Bradford, where you're going, is probably. I'm just going to tell you, it's probably within 50 miles of where uh, my safe haven is. That's as close as I will tell you. Um, but being your who wrote it? G.I. Joseph's back before electricity, refrigeration. Bradford's ice mines supplied the nation's coolness after the annual Great Lake thaw. Yeah. Speaking of thaw, the National Aeronautics and Space Administration has announced, but it has not been reported by the mainstream news media, that Antarctica ice cap has grown by 77,000 square miles in the last 5 years, averaging about 15% in the last 3 years, I believe. And so, why? If we are in such a terrible spot because of global warming, why is the Antarctica gaining in size? And part of it is because not too long ago, the Earth had another shift on their axis. Okay, the Earth is tipped, north and south is tipped on an angle. Exaggeration so you can see it like this. Well, what happened is, I'm going to say 20 years ago, or maybe a little longer, it just went a little bit more, something like another degree. And that 1 degree then puts the the South Pole into a lesser sunlight because it's at the bottom, and the North Pole is now receiving a little bit more sunlight. So it changes the weather patterns. But that's just basic science. And the biggest thing out of Washington right now is follow the science. Follow the science. But even the scientists don't agree upon the science. So,
That's why we, ever heard the song "The Age of Aquarius"? How we go through various constellations.
mhm.
And the way that's decided is whichever constellation is, I think, on the horizon on the summer solstice, either winter or summer solstice. And because of the way the Earth tilts, it wobbles.
Yeah.
And as it wobbles through the galaxy, it different, and it goes through like very predictable cycles. It's like 42,000 year cycles.
And that's the problem. The scientists are basing their information on what they have collected since mankind started collecting or making records, which has probably been less than 500 years.
Yeah.
They've been keeping a detailed record, and they're trying to tell you that global warming is coming because mankind has been here and causing all kinds of pollutants to be put in the air. Now, does that mean we shouldn't be good stewards? No, that's not what that means. But when they attack the carbon footprint, which is carbon dioxide being put into the atmosphere, if you remember, follow the science. If you remember when you were in school and you took the basic science class, biology, I believe it was, they explained to you how trees and plants take that carbon dioxide and use it to make food or is food to them, and then give off oxygen as a byproduct. So it continues as the carbon dioxide is put in the air, the trees take it, the plants take it and make oxygen so you and I can breathe. So why would you want to shut off one of their sources of food?
God's honest truth, what makes us humans so special? Maybe the earth maybe we've outlived our usefulness. Maybe we should just go away.
Well,
let the animals have at it.
Yeah, well, there is such a thing as that, but that's not, if you believe in the Bible and God, that's not, that's not what the Bible says. But the Bible does say there's a day of reckoning coming, and it will be between the good and the evil. And people have to understand the reason why there's so much evil in this planet is God gave the devil temporary dominion over the earth. And when he's ready, God will return, and Armageddon's going to happen. And he gave us the ability to discern right from wrong. And if you start to follow the path of God, then the devil's there trying to trip you up. And so enough of the preaching of the Bible to you people out there. I don't, from the sounds of what you guys have been saying over the years, I don't think we need to do that. But those of you who are driving around town or listening on the FM dial, you need to pay attention to this. Don't take my word for it. It don't take long. Just go get yourself a Bible and read it. Even if you don't believe in it after you're done, you should read it to have an idea what the Lord has planned. So, anyway, well, let's see. I think about covered everything loosely that I wanted to cover. Let me check something here. Scott, talk to him for a minute.
Bum 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 bum. Yeah, I was talking with a gentleman I know, and his son actually works at the Pentagon for the Joint Chiefs of Staff. He's a Navy intelligence officer. And as soon as this all came out, he gave him a call just to get his take on the whole General Miley situation. General Miley's actually his boss.
Yeah.
He knows the man. His first thought was he should be hung as a traitor. No ifs, no ands, no buts.
Yeah.
Hung as a traitor. Well, I wouldn't go so much as that far, but I think it needs to be
It needs to be
looked at.
investigated, and he needs to be disciplined. Okay, one way or another, whether they break him in rank or they take him out and put him against the wall and shot.
And we know that's not going to happen.
Okay, for a traitor. Okay, but he does need to be disciplined, and because you cannot have your commanding general going and telling your opposites that we're not going to attack you when there is absolutely no threat of an attack, just his perceived threat.
You know, how hard would it have been for him to make the phone call? Okay, let's play out the scenario. Hey, I understand you guys are worried about President Trump, and, you know, I know he's a loose cannon, but we got this. Don't worry about it. We're not going to let anything bad happen. I don't think that's traitors.
No,
traitors. That's not treasonous. That's just saying, hey, listen.
But to call and tell them we're not going to attack you. If we were going to attack you,
yeah,
that's giving aid and comfort to the enemy.
Something.
You know, so yeah, I personally, diplomats are diplomats for a reason, because they supposedly have the ability to communicate without giving away their secrets.
Soldiers shoot and kill.
Soldiers' job is to kill people and break things, not the diplomat. And that. Kill people and break things. That's a soldier's job. And he's only supposed to do that when he is told to do that. He's not supposed to make the decision as to who we're going to do it to. It comes from whoever. Seeing as how the migration from the invasion of the southern part of the United States is gaining speed, to tell you how bad things have gotten, Texas landowners, and this came off of Newsmax. I just got this on the 16th, but 123 Texas landowners allow a state to put border fencing on their property. The state of Texas, let me get my glasses because it's a little fine print. I was experimenting with trying to keep pictures from coming on here, and I didn't get the printing adjusted back after I was done with the experiment. But anyway, the state of Texas has some new allies in the battle against illegal immigration. Washington Examiner reports that a group of 123 owners has agreed to let the state place fencing along sections of their property near the U.S.-Mexico border. The Examiner said that as of Wednesday, 123 homeowners living in Valverde County have agreed to allow an 8-foot-tall barbed wire metal fence to be erected at the edge of their property. Republican Governor Greg Abbott's office said 82 of the 123 people referenced have signed agreements with the state's military department conducting the program, in other words, the state's National Guard. Over 150 miles of the 1,250 miles of land Texas shares with Mexico have a substantive barrier. According to the Examiner, of the roughly 1,100 miles of the fencing, the state is responsible for a large portion of that total has been addressed through the agreement with the Texas residents. Texas has identified 733 miles of the border front land where it can build, and the Texas National Guard will carry out the project, the Examiner said. After all, the land belongs to residents who agreed to assist the state. A Newsmax reporter said that this is a significant and will allow Texas to avoid eminent domain laws by property owners. Those cases held up the Trump administration efforts to acquire private land for construction. In this case, the landowners are working with the state to secure their property lines to eliminate the need for litigation. Now, Abbott's administration's success in securing approval from landowners allows the state to immediately begin securing a vulnerable spot in the 1,250-mile stretch between U.S. and Mexico. The governor has indicated that the state could award the contracts for wall construction to begin later this month. Often referred to by federal border authorities, the Del region, the remote region in south central Texas, has the third highest total of illegal immigrations nationwide, according to Customs and Border Patrol. In its office reports, there are 144,000 accounts with encounters with immigrants who had crossed the border illegally between February and July. And you have to ask yourself, why is the Biden administration not doing anything to curb this? That's because the Democrats...
Not even addressing it.
Yeah. They want these people to come in so that they can make them voters. Sign them up as Democrats so that they can make them voters and keep the Democrats in power forever. So, but I also learned that the U.S. Border Patrol has 6 entry points in the on the Texas line and has already got fencing up. And they have asked the governor of Texas and the Texas Department of Safety, which is the Texas State Police, to help them shut the thing down because they cannot control the thing. So the Texas State Police and the Texas National Guard are going to be going down there and shutting down those 6 entry points.
Right there at the Del Rio Bridge on the border, that Haitian immigrant camp went from 2,000 to 15,000 in less than a week.
Yeah, and it's...
Well, and how are they all getting there?
Yeah.
Where are they coming from?
Yeah. Well, first they had them by boat from
Haiti. Yeah. It's...
But who's paying for it to bring
15,000 people's like the population of Meadville.
Yeah. Actually, it's greater than the population of Meadville.
Well, roughly speaking,
yeah.
12, 15,000.
And they're all camping out under a bridge.
And they don't just show up. Isn't there like satellite coverage and shit? Seeing like large.
Well, sure, they see them. They see the large lines of them coming up the Mexican highways and stuff. But the point is, you've got the question: where are they coming from? Obviously, they're coming from Haiti. But how are they getting from Haiti to Mexico to be able to come up through there? Who's paying their way to do that? If these people are so supposedly poor and are leaving the squalor of their country because they don't have any money, who's paying for them to come across and then providing them with the food and comforts to get to the border?
But if you look at them, there's a lot of... I've seen some chunky broads come up through there. Some young virile men.
Yeah, if you look... the only reason why you have the broads there is to disguise the original intent. A lot of those good younger guys are of military age and in military shape. We are being invaded, okay? And the weapons are being smuggled in here for them. I was reading somewhere, and I think it was in that book, that the Border Patrol, along with drugs, they're seizing more illegal weapons coming across the border than they are drugs. And we're not talking just plain handguns. We're talking about machine guns and RPGs and millions and millions of rounds of ammo being brought in here. AK-47s. Okay. Why are the cartel bringing those in? What's on their agenda? Their agenda is to create an internal war inside the United States and finish bringing it down the rest of the way. And And they're getting the support. I hate to say this, but they're getting the support from members of our own government. And it is 3 minutes to 7. So I think, guys, I'm going to put up some music so that we can take a break and rest. Come on, give me some room to work here, so I can rest my voice. There we go. That's the way. I should have had this ready to go, and I didn't. I'm sorry, folks, for the delay, but we'll get something going here in a second. I just have to get down here. Come on, come on, come on. Okay, guys, you should be getting some music now.
Do not wish this life to pass away, but life presents such possibilities each and every day. I heard a calling that was right for me. I prayed for strength for what's ahead of me. Show me the way. Please show me the way. The sun was high and burnt the night away. Who stood before me was my enemy. Don't tread on me. He's come to take away my liberties. I'd rather die than be a slave to thee. Don't treat me this way. I'd rather die than be your slave. I will survive. And you feel my rage. It's not a question of being brave. I'd rather die than be your slave. Didn't matter who shot us that day. They killed my brothers, they lay dead by me. Hit them hard, we made them pay that day. We hung the traitors from the highest trees. Mercy from you. Mercy from me. Lost a lot, our pain was heavy. We sacrificed for God and country. Still held the ground that was in front of me. This was the price to pay for liberty. Still you hear me say, I'd rather die than be your slave. I will survive. And you feel my rage. It's not a question of being brave. I'd rather die than be your slave. Our toys have changed while man has stayed the same. Tribal families rule not over me. I will not let them break my liberty. We'll die for them today. I'm not diving me on a slave. I will survive and feel my rage. It's not a question of being brave. I'd rather die than be your slave. I'd rather die than be your slave. You know I will survive. I will survive. I'd rather die than be your slave.
When they see us, they will run for their lives. To the end, they will pay for their lies. So long did we wait. Now we are home. Here, once again, there's a battle to fight. Gathered together for the sound and the might. So long did we wait. Now we are home. Now we will fight for the kingdom. Fighting with steel. Kill all of them. Their blood is our seal. Fight till the last of the enemy is dead. Ride their blood that we gladly have shed. I now issue the call. Are you ready to fight? Yeah, fight up together as one for the right to be free once again. Tonight we will win. I can see by the look that you have in your eyes. You came here for metal, to fight and to die. Defenders of steel. Now we are home. Fight for the kingdom, bound for glory. With a heart of steel. I swear by the brothers who stand before me, to no man shall I kneel. Their blood is upon my steel. Blood is upon my steel. Fighting with steel. Kill all of them. Their blood is our seal. Fight to the last of the enemy is dead. Ride through their blood that we gladly have shed. I now issue the call. Are you ready? ready to fight. Fight all together as one for the right to be free once again. Tonight we will win. I can see by the look that you have in your eyes. You came here for metal, to fight and to die. Defenders of steel, now we are home. Fight for the kingdom, bound for glory. In a heart of steel, I swear by the brothers who stand before me, to no man shall I kneel. Their blood is upon my steel. Fight for the kingdom, bound for glory. With a heart of steel, I swear by the brothers who stand before me, to no man shall I kneel. Their blood is upon my steel. Fight for the kingdom, bound for glory. With a heart of steel, I swear by the brothers who stand before me, to no man shall I kneel. Their blood is upon my steel. Blood is upon my steel. Blood is upon my steel.
Hi, my doggies.
Hello, party people. We're back.
Cannabis, that's kind of silly. Only 4 out of 5 like Braveheart. God, it should have been unanimous. We must be slipping here. Did you hear that, Scott?
What?
Only 4 out of 5 like Braveheart.
Braveheart what? The movie?
I don't know. The cannabis just post 4 out of 5 like Braveheart. Maybe you better clarify that cannabis and tell us if it's the station or the movie. Yeah. Somebody liked one of the songs we play. So, anyway, God, what was it? My train of thought? I'm tired. My train of thought's gone. Did you see anything else here that you're interested in?
I haven't gotten into it so much. Here, let me have the stack.
Oh, by the way, something that I've forgotten, and I just was reacquainted with this weekend in that book that I was telling you about, that executive orders are not legal under the Constitution of the United States. They have no bearing. And so all these executive orders and all that stuff ought not to be obeyed. Of course, we know what might happen if you ought not to obey them, but that's all right. We need to start pushing back, and we need to push back hard.
Well, unfortunately, that's one of the things that they've, with this whole coronavirus, COVID-19, it's just the more they drag out, the more apathy. I'm right there with them. I am tired. Every day, just they're beating it into us. Now we're starting to see where there's supply chain disruptions. Just this week, the LCB, Pennsylvania Liquor Control Board, posted that there's a they're putting restrictions on the amount of certain
Liquor.
kinds of alcohols you can
Yeah.
buy. I mean, and not just for people. I mean, for restaurants and bars as well.
Yeah.
You know, and then my one coworker, she's going to be in a wedding here soon. She's like, "Oh God, how are we going to buy all of our liquor for our wedding?"
We'll have to get near beer.
Well, she's like, "Well, what we'll do, we'll just have everyone go in every day for like 2 weeks and get as much as you can of everything."
Mhm.
But I mean,
And it's not just the liquor too. They're now talking the paper shortage coming because the paper companies can't get the loggers to go in and cut the timber, and then they can't get the drivers to haul the timber out. It does get cut or do get cut.
I was at Country Fair today, the one up there by the gas station you go to, and my wife and I were out running around, and I just wanted to get a bottle of water because I'd forgotten to fill my water bottle. And there were literally 4 bottles, not 4 different kinds, 4 bottles of water in that cooler. They had lots of sodas and all that, but I mean, it's getting scary out there. Gas prices are going up. You know, the food prices, don't get me started on that shit.
Yeah, and if you watch your food prices, that came up at the gun show today. The guy was heading to his heading to the mountains to his camp, and he stopped to get. He likes a certain type of sausage, okay, and he stopped to get the sausage. He thought he was buying a pound because he had the pound price on it, but instead of being 16 ounces, it was only 12.
That's what they're doing. They're charging the same, but they're giving less.
Yeah, exactly. And you're seeing it not only in the packages of meat like that, but you're seeing in the canned products that you buy now. Okay.
You know, I bought a bag of combos the other day. And, you know, it used to be a nice big full bag. I got to work and I'm just like, I thought they had, shortchanged me. I'm like, but it's just they're all that small now.
All that small with the big dollar bill. That's
Big
it.
dollar bill.
And the reason for that is because the government continues to print the worthless paper, and that's why it takes so much more paper to buy that stuff.
Well, that's what happened in post-World War I Germany.
Yeah, and that happened in World War I Germany, and it's happening in this country because people don't know this, but paper money under the Constitution is not legal. Paper money itself is not legal under the Constitution. The Congress or the government is supposed to coin money. Coin, take it out of gold and silver, and then set the value thereof. And it worked well when it was silver certificates or gold certificates, because you could take that in and go to any bank with that piece of paper and said you could buy $1 worth of silver, and the bank would give you that dollar's worth of silver for that paper bill. But because they took it away, and the Federal Reserve now prints it in its Federal Reserve note, which is not even a U.S. note anymore. That is done by a private enterprise managed by several different businesses, and the board is elected or appointed by some of the board is elected and appointed by the government, and other comes from the corporations that own it.
I don't understand how any of that works at all.
Well, it's called fiat. You're printing money. We got the people brainwashed to accept it as the thing, and that's why every time you fart, the price of stuff goes up. Because it's not backed by anything. It has no intrinsic value, or I probably didn't pronounce it right.
Intrinsic.
Yeah, intrinsic value. Okay, so it's worthless, and that's why it's taken every civilization that has gone away from silver and gold and gone to paper money has always failed. Yeah, you want your Thanksgiving Day turkey? You better order it now. Well, maybe so, but maybe I'll just go out in the woods and shoot one. I got the license to do that. I've been seeing them like crazy. I've been seeing them all over, but the only problem is they're never where I'm at or able to go when I to go hunting. But yeah, I haven't heard that one yet, but that doesn't surprise me, kids, that everything is starting to go in short supply, and that's because nobody's working. And I'm wondering how, I don't know if you saw the news here locally, there's a snack food company up in Erie that has a 150,000 square foot facility. And they just announced this week that they're going to add a 100,000 square foot building to their facility up in Erie, and they're expecting to hire something like 40 to 50 jobs, and they're trying to hire them now so they can have them trained by the time the facility is done. So we'll see how that goes. But thanks to the COVID and the government COVID Recovery Act, we've created a whole bunch of lazy people who don't want to go to work. They don't need to go to work because the government's paying them to sit on their ass. Now, some of that has started to run out, but a lot of companies can't hire people, want people, but can't hire them because they can't find them. So they can't provide the services. So if they can't provide the services, they don't need the other stuff that, which creates a vicious circle. Okay. If I can't get paper plates and somebody to serve the food on a paper plate, the paper mill don't have to make paper. The guy that cuts it doesn't have to go out and cut the tree down. The truck don't have to haul it. Doesn't have to go through the paper mill and then get made into paper and then shipped to you. All that stuff comes to a stop.
It's a vicious cycle.
All right, I have another one here. This is out of Florida. Where'd you come from? This stuff comes on here every so often.
He's talking to the computer again, people.
Yeah.
It's horrifying.
Well, this screen thing comes on and it covers up the chat room, and I can't read what kids are saying, so know whether I'm doing a good job or I need to pack up my bag and go home.
I have a joke for you.
Yes.
In Britain, they call it a lift. Americans call it an elevator. I guess they're just raised differently. How dorky is that?
That is a pondering thought.
That is what they call a premium dad joke. Oh. What do you get when you boil the funny bone? A laughing stock. That's so terrible. I have a friend that posts these silly jokes all the time on the internet. They're excruciatingly bad, but
well, but you need a sense of humor sometimes. And sometimes the more stupid it is, the funnier it is. But anyway, okay, where was it going with? Oh,
Florida.
No, Newsmax.com. Florida sheriff. A traffic stop ambush shows what's wrong with the criminal justice system. A routine traffic stop that turned violent after two Florida deputies were ambushed and left one person dead was a perfect example of what is wrong with our criminal justice system. The Brevard County Sheriff said. Dash cam video showed what appeared to be a routine traffic stop of a car that had three adults and a 2-month-old infant. Excuse me. Let's see. Okay, and where was I? Okay, let me find my place. 2-month-old infant inside. The incident turned into a deadly shootout with a man described as a violent career criminal. ABC7 reported. Sheriff Wayne Livy briefed the public days after the August 30th shooting in West Melbourne, Florida. The case is a perfect example of what is wrong with our criminal justice system, Ivy said. Um, Space Coast Daily reported. That's space. Well, that's probably because they're down near the Cape Canaveral or Cape Kennedy. When a registered career criminal with 23 felony charges, 17 misdemeanor charges, multiple convictions for violent offenses, and 2 active and pending drug trafficking cases is out on the streets where he can attempt to kill our deputies and put others' lives at risk. Something is wrong with our system. And it's time that we, as a society of law-abiding citizens, say enough is enough. The career criminal identified as Paris Wilder, 38 of Coca-Cola, 38 years old, and he has that many felony charges and that many misdemeanor charges, and has 2 active charges against him right now. This guy's a busy beaver. Anyway, exited the car and began shooting at the deputies after his weapon apparently jammed. Wilder used the butt of his rifle to beat Deputy Brian Potter before being shot fatally by Deputy Tyler Thorman. Potter's the second deputy on the scene, suffered a gunshot wound to the leg, a concussion, fractures to the orbital bone and sinuses, and multiple head lacerations. Thorman, the first officer on the scene, was injured during the incident. As I have said several times before, if you point a gun at one of my deputies and you just guaranteed yourself a trip to 3 locations, one of 3 locations, the hospital, the morgue, or if you're really lucky, the hospital and jail, Ivy said. Let there be no doubt this individual got exactly what he deserved, and to those out there that might be foolish enough to ask why we shot him so many times, the answer is simple. Evil can never be dead enough. Okay. Now I haven't seen the video, and if this reporting is true to what actually happened, they are right. The guy got what he deserved. He's a career criminal, and I'd like to see these areas that have defund the police have their social workers go out there and try and talk to him. And these social workers would be most likely be unarmed. I haven't heard, Scott. Have you heard anything about whether the social
Well, that's kind of the point, that they're not armed, because there's not going to be a violent confrontation.
Yeah, right. Okay. Here's a perfect example where it doesn't matter whether they were armed or not. He started shooting first. Well, they returned fire. He gave him what he deserved. I don't know how many times he was shot, but I will tell you this: depending on the size of the man.
Shot more than once, it probably wasn't a very good aim.
Well, it wasn't very good aim, but you're in a panic shoot, because these guys are not combat trained to be, facing this kind of stuff every day in a combat zone. So most of their shooting at combat is at paper targets or silhouettes or stuff like that. So I can understand that. But it's also the fact that the caliber of the gun might be a little bit light for the size of the asshole that they were pursuing. Yo.
I recall a conversation that I was part of back in the early days, before you even started putting on gun shows. Before I went in the Army, and we were talking about just this very same thing. And the guy you were talking to, I think I may have this mixed up in my head, but the way the gist of it went was the bikers in this certain area got used to wearing their a Carhartt vest with their leather jacket, or a Carhartt jacket with their leather vest. Big, heavy duty stuff. And the bigger guys were able to actually take a 1 or 2 9mm, like the weaker 9mm rounds that the cops were carrying.
Yeah, they were wearing the leather because being a biker, there's quite often objects thrown up from the road, like
Oh
stones,
yeah. I mean,
okay?
certainly.
And in regular clothing, it would penetrate and cause damage. Well, they found that the leather vest that they were wearing was pretty effective at limiting the amount of damage done by a 9mm bullet.
Yeah, having to do with something having to do with the Carhartt and leather together. Because if you know anything about car, those are big, heavy-duty jackets. You know, so I understandably you want to shoot more than once, but I'm also wondering if the rounds the police were carrying were a lighter load, so it was easier to shoot more.
Well,
rather than a heavy,
yeah,
man-stopping.
they were probably using the standard 115 grain ball bullet for a 9mm. Because that was a standard. Then that came out the 124 grain. Then that was improved by the 124 grain hollow point. But under the Geneva Convention, those kind of bullets you are not supposed to be used on human beings. The hollow points.
Oh yeah.
Okay. And then came a 147 because even with all this bullshit, they were finding that the 9mm was just not heavy enough to do the job that they were wanting it to do. The advantage it had was more rounds in a gun. Okay? But it's just like I've been saying. If you have a gun that holds 15 rounds of ammo and you have to put 7 rounds into a guy to take him out, and you're dealing with 5, okay, that means you're only going to be able to take care of 2. And the other 3 are going to get you because you're having to spend so much time on target. Now, if
I found some 900 grain 9mm.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, come out of a 105 howitzer, huh?
Something like that.
Yeah. But when you go with the bigger, heavier bullet, it might be going a little slower, like a 45. 75% of the time, if you shot one bullet at a person, it would knock them down, which meant that if you were going up against 5, you would have enough ammo to be able to knock all 5 of those down and not spend all your time trying to finish off one guy.
That 45 has such a loud boom.
Yeah, it makes a big boom, and I like the way it splatters tissue. So,
I'm having a hard time sitting down.
yeah, I'm having that problem too. My hip is,
Being on my feet so much yesterday didn't bode well for me.
so, anyhow, okay.
For a while on my Facebook feed, somebody was posting the local sportsmen's clubs were offering, or somebody through the local sportsman's club was offering shooting classes, self-defense shooting, like beginner, middle, and like expert levels. And I haven't seen anything posted in forever. I don't know if it was just if that person is not posting anymore, or if it's just with the whole COVID, everything shutting down, no one can afford to shoot. Because they were kind of pricey classes. You had to have a holster. You had to have, I think, 5 magazines, at least that amount of ammo, and a holster rig, the whole bit.
Yeah, I haven't seen anything locally here. I look at the area shopper where a lot of ads of stuff there are. I also watch the internet for different things, and I quite often get emails where these classes are being offered. But I haven't seen anything for a while. But I do know there was a incident that happened in this area where a instructor happened in Pleasantville. Instructor was coming in to the Pleasantville Fire Department was going to give basic handgun courses to women, designed for women. And he needed at least, he said he needed at least 7 to make it worth his effort. Well, they got 13 women to sign up. But by the time they got there to do the training, there were only 3 women that showed up because the mayor of Pleasantville was a woman at the time. I may be wrong on this, but she had some political power, and she went in and she convinced all the other women not to go there.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, hey, you have your right to your opinion, and you do not have the right, though, to hold that over me to make me change my opinion. If you want to own a gun, that's your business. If you don't want to own a gun, that's your business. If you want to take a training course, that's your business. If you don't, that's your business. Okay? That's what the Constitution is all about. If you want to do something that is not infringing upon somebody else's rights or property, then you can do what you want. That's why we have laws to take care of that particular thing. So, anyway, what was I going to say? Oh, hold this one up.
What?
I was gonna, since we have been hitting and missing on the COVID thing, I pulled this story up.
Oh, you pulled this one up.
Yeah, I pulled this story up, and it's off of WorldNet Daily. I'm not. It's okay. This is a state in India. Okay. The FDA-approved drug that has been disingenuously maligned by established health officials and media as horse dewormer is being touted by India's largest state as the key to quashing COVID-19. The government of Uttar Pradesh, which has a population of more than 240 million, said Friday that 33 of its districts are COVID-free, and the state has a total of only 199 active cases, the Hindustan Times reported. The state said the recovery rate for COVID has improved to 98.7%. Indian Express reported in May, as the Gateway pundit noted, that Uttar Pradesh, however they pronounce it, was the first state in India to introduce large-scale prophylactic and therapeutic use of ivermectin. Oh, that's right. I got an IN in there. It shouldn't be. Establishment media recently anyway, skip that. I'm tired. Can't read. Can't think. We treated COVID with Invectin as ignorant rednecks overdosing on horse dewormer persisted despite several embarrassing corrections to widely cited stories and the CDC's recommendation that the FDA-approved drug be given to most refugees who enter the United States. Now, wait a minute. If you're recommending that you give it to the immigrants into the United States or refugees to the United States, why can't the residents or citizens of the United States be treated with it? the CDC's recommendation of ivermectin, which was touted as a wonder drug in the Journal of Antibiotics for the use for the treatment and prevention of intestinal parasites, but the drug whose inventors were awarded the Nobel Prize was shown in both in vitro and vivo studies long before COVID-19 pandemic, and has strong antiviral as well as antiparasitic properties. At least 44 peer-reviewed studies, 31 random control trials, and a real-world experience indicated it is safe and effective treatment for COVID-19. So, if it is working in India, and it was recommended that we give it to refugees coming to this country, if that's what you want to call them, then why is it not being made and used in this country to treat our own people? That's been a question and thing that's been going on for a long time. There are remedies out there that will do a better job at protecting a person from the COVID or treating them than the vaccine. And one of the biggest problems with, and this comes from, I'm not at liberty to say where they come from, but it comes from a group of doctors that said that they're telling you that one of the biggest problems with COVID is it thickens the blood. And when the blood gets thick, you get blood clots, and it's so thin or so thick that it can't get through the veins to your vital organs to be able to provide your vital organs to allow them to function. So therefore, keeping the blood thin is one of the procedures that needs to be more invoked. They found that out in Italy when the first batch came around, that they started giving people the blood thinners, and they had a much better survival rate because they thinned the blood down so the oxygen could get carried through to the body. So blood clots are one of the major contributors to the death. Now, this comes off of CBS News, Nora O'Donnell, for what it is worth. This week, they were trying to put a scare into the population by saying that, she goes, the death rate for COVID virus, she says, now listen to this, 1 in 500 people will die from the COVID virus. 1 in 500 Americans will die from the COVID virus. Okay, well, what is 1% of 100? 1. If you have 500 people that get sick with the virus, only 1 dies, what is the percentage?
I don't know.
It's 0.2%. Okay, so you see how they exaggerate the thing? They're trying to scare you to death by saying 1 in 500. Now, they did say it goes up when the people get to be, 65 or 70. It gets higher when they get to be that age. Anyway, the older you get past the 75 mark, the higher the rate is. It's like 1 in 85, I think they said. So, if you sit down and figure it out, and you follow the information that was put out by the government last year, and I can't think of the department, but there's a department that reports keeps track of all the deaths in the United States and comes up with the
Wasn't it Department of Health?
Yeah, I think it's a branch of the Department of Health, but they keep track of everybody that dies, and the death rate at that time, I may not be exact because I don't have the figures in front of me, but don't hold it to me. You can always go look if you want. But the death rate at that time, the national death rate was like 2.7% a year of the population dies. Well, that was in 2019. When they come out with the 2020 figures, that number had not changed, because what has changed was the way they report people's death. If you were ill and you may have COVID, and you die because of the COVID. No, if you're ill and you've got cancer and you die because of the cancer. And that comes out of some of the big cancer research centers in the United States. And so the information that is being put out by and sworn to is not always what it seems to be.
Just because you die with COVID doesn't mean you died because of COVID.
That's right. Exactly. And if you have a major underlying reason, that's probably why you died.
You know, most of the residents that have tested positive at our facility have done so at the hospital. They went in with a heart, that they were sent to the hospital, they fell, they had a heart problem or a hip problem or whatever, and they were admitted to the hospital. They had a short stay in the hospital, and they tested positive in the hospital. They weren't positive when they left. They were positive before they got out. Here's something that's not discussed, and I know this is not doesn't necessarily apply to your situation, but something that really needs to be pushed: healthy living.
Yeah.
Eat right, exercise, fresh air.
And if you can't eat right because you have health issues that don't allow you to eat certain foods.
But you can still not eat McDonald's every day.
Yeah, but you can supplement that one with the key vitamins that your body needs, and that's D, C, magnesium, antioxidants to get your zinc. And I just started 2 weeks ago taking Omega XL fish oil, because it has 30 of the fatty acids that your body needs to make everything function to help clear your system. If you take that stuff, even the doctors are telling you, more and more of them are coming out and telling you, if you take that stuff, you are cleaning your system, which then prevents the disease from having a place to get a foothold. So you have to eat right, exercise, supplement your diet, because even if you eat right, your food don't have all the nourishment in it.
Yep. You just got to try to, do what you can.
Yeah.
Far be it for me to tell anybody. You've all seen how fat I was.
Yeah, but you're working at it.
And I'm trying.
Yeah.
And I think one of the reasons, because I've worked around COVID people from, the beginning of this shit. One of the reasons I haven't gotten it is for a couple reasons. One, I think I have a natural, whatever my genetic makeup, I think I'm one of those people that's not predisposed for it. Two, I stay going to the gym. I try to get outside in the sunlight and the fresh air, and I take a crap ton of vitamins. Because of my abdominal surgery, I got to take all these vitamins, and I honestly believe that had something to do with it.
The kids, we started something with the kids here on the COVID. The COVID, CDC has never identified the COVID virus, and has never been isolated. And it is easy to kill. If it is easy to kill, then every public place, schools, at least once or twice a week, or even 3 times a week, should be gone down through and sprayed with bleach or alcohol, because alcohol is supposed to be able to kill it too. So bleach or alcohol or whatever other antibacterial stuff that they have out there, and instead of spraying all the other shit in the atmosphere that the government is doing with their chemtrails, load the jets up with
Lysol.
okay, and spray the atmosphere and get rid of the disease forever. And yeah. And um, um, shit. I hate this one. I get so tired that my brain doesn't wanna work. Brain malfunction, brain farts, whatever you kids want to call them out there.
Vapor lock. That's what it's called. Vapor lock.
Yeah. Okay, off of WorldNet Daily. I have this story from about Biden, who looks out the Oval Office to the Rose Garden of the White House on July 26th, 2021, prior to the president's remarks on the 31st anniversary of America's Disabilities Act. Official White House photo by so-and-so. Now, I cut the photo out. Joe Biden repeatedly has given himself the role of dictator since he was elected and took office earlier this year. He has issued a flood of executive orders that he hoped would transform the nation into his idea. God damn the hiccups. Okay. COVID mandates, the southern border crisis, inflation, federal election takeover, massive spending, and all things that he demands, essentially because he wants them. Now a lawmaker in one state says he's gone too far and is proposing a vote of the people of his state on whether they want to declare their independence. The independence move or succeeding from the Union has been growing slowly over the years. The Center Square reports the plan is from the state rep Mike Sylvia, a Republican from Belmont, New Hampshire. He said he filed the proposed constitutional amendment that would ask voters in the 2022 midterm elections to break ties with Washington and become a separate nation state. There are hundreds of examples of the federal government overstepping its authority, and he said in an interview with the publication, "Enough is enough. We should put this before the voters to decide. Sure, the state would lose federal funding," he noted, "but its residents who would be exempt from federal income taxes. We are a donor state that pays out more in federal income tax than we get back," Sylvia said. His proposal says New Hampshire peaceably declares the independence from the United States and immediately proceeds to proceed as a sovereign nation. All other reference to the United States in come on. Let's see. Constitution, state status, and regulations are nullified. While it is proposed, the publication reported it is a long shot to be approved in the next legislature, which starts in January. It needs 60% approval from Senate and House, both of GOP hands, and then it could end up on the 2022 election ballot. A backing group called Liberty Bloc explained their ancestors made the decision to join the Union 240 years ago in a different world, one in which the federal government did not violate our every right and did not steal half our money to fund their tyranny. It cited reasons to believe that it included corneal fascism, as well as anti-gun laws. Secession movements in other states such as Texas, California, Utah in recent years have not gain sufficient support. Well, that's at least why it's in California. It's because they got too many liberals out there. Texas, I'm surprised it hasn't gained more because it is being flooded with the illegals, and the government won't do nothing to stop it. But anyway,
Well, it's the liberal people in the big cities.
yeah, well, that's it. It's just like Pennsylvania. Our biggest problem is Philadelphia, Harrisburg, Pittsburgh, Erie, and Scranton, Wilkes-Barre. Those are the 5 key population areas. Sylvia at the Free Me blog said, the people of America have forgotten their history. That is true. If we take the time to look at our roots, we can see that our constitutions have received lip service for far too long. While I cannot change the direction of the federal government, I can hold up the New Hampshire Constitution and demand that we honor its clear directives. Article 10 reads, in part, whenever the ends of the government are perverted and the public liberty manifestly endangered and all other means of redress are ineffectual, the people may and of right ought to reform the old or establish a new government. That is also in the federal constitution too, by the way. Okay, that's the end of that. And that's out of New Hampshire. Now, like you said, it probably won't happen, but the fact that people are thinking about that and the states are starting to realize that the feds have gotten too big and too big for their britches. They no longer care about what we think or say. Our federal representatives down in Washington, both, even the Republican side too, not just the Democrats. There are Republicans that are Republicans in name only that ran as a Republican because the area that they're representing has a large Republican influence, and so consequently, in order to get elected to office, they have to run as a Republican. And the same way with Democrats. They run in a Democratic area because of a large population of Democrats.
What do they call them? Republicrats?
Yeah. Republicrats and Democrats. And I call them all assholes. But yeah, that's also pointed out in that book that I was telling people about, that Joe Biden, they mentioned him that setting up a dictatorship. And the reason he's doing putting this stuff out is because he wants to.
Or his handlers want to. He's
a puppet.
He's a self-propelled sandbag at this point.
Yeah. I'm not even sure he makes a fit sandbag. If you tried to put him in a levee to keep the water out, he'd probably leak worse than the levee itself. Worse than the leak that he's trying to plug. And so yeah, Emmy was saying, I heard something about this. I didn't read this too much. G.I. Joe says, I'm sorry, not Emmy. Biden appeared to momentarily forget the name of the Australian Prime Minister, Scott Morrison, while announcing plans to share the United States nuclear-powered submarine technology with Australia. Well, the United States nuclear technology is not the only country that was supposed to be in on that. England was supposed to be in on it. And they want to do that to help combat the influence of China in that area.
Well, that whole Australia nuke sub thing, that put a huge problem with France, because France was supposed to be selling them like some kind of $500 billion submarine deal. Mm-hmm. And somehow the U.S. and England got involved and skirted them from the deal, and to the point where France has pulled their diplomats from Washington, brought them home. So that's that's
Well,
not
when you-
really being talked about, but that's kind of a scary situation.
You're right. I haven't seen any of that. Of course, I've been out of touch the last 3 days with the gun show. So
It's popped up on a couple of different news sites. But yeah, France, one of our oldest allies,
yeah.
be that as they may, they will throw their guns down and run away at first chance, but pulled their diplomats.
Never fired and only dropped once.
So,
Sounds like the Afghanistan army.
shit.
Never fired and only dropped once. Speaking of that, I did happen to catch this week some videos coming out of Afghanistan where some of the Taliban was sporting and showing off their brand spanking new fully equipped M16A4 rifles. With the lasers and the flashlight and the quick acquisition sight. And 2 or 3 of them were standing there, and one was holding it, and everybody was fondling it, and that brand new. Thanks to the arms trader Biden. Well, how else can you supply your enemy with weapons and make it look like it was somebody else's fault? Oops, did I say that?
Yeah.
No, I didn't say that. Now the problem, too, is all the technology that we left behind is being, especially the military computers and codes that were left behind, and intelligence gathering equipment is now going to be shared with the Chinese, and probably would end up with the Russians, too.
We're running out of time.
Yep. Well, we're down to 2 minutes, so you got any final statements there?
Just be safe out there, man. Try to do something nice for your neighbors.
Yeah.
Try to be decent to people. I know if you go to stores, they're short-staffed, and the people are trying real hard, and they may be dumb as shit, but just try to be nice to people.
Little thing that happened at the gun show, real quick. I had a black guy come through the gun show. He comes through most every gun show. Not very many of them do, but he comes through. So he was in the show, and then he went out, and a little while later he came back in, and he waved me, and I says, "Man, you must be a glutton for punishment coming back."
Yeah.
And he just shrugged his shoulder and chuckled, But anyway, we used to do this when Mike was alive, and I got away from it, and I started it last week, so I'll do it again. God bless the Republic. Death to the New World Order. We shall prevail. And don't forget to hug your rifle. Good night.
Good night.